It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf. Out there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 233 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as I always am, this time in person, for my partner in crime from the East Coast in the United States of America, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. And if you tuned in last week, you know what this week's show is all about. Last week, we talked about night one in Nashville for the Metallica M72 tour on May 1st. Where they opened the show, first night of their no-repeat weekend. We got to see Suicidal Tendencies and Pantera get the crowd up and ready for the big night with Metallica. We didn't love where our tickets were, but they were good. We didn't love all the folks around us, but that's part of going to a concert. You have to be around people who maybe you wouldn't spend much more time with than the rest of your life. But this second night was very, very special. Not only was the set list much more to our liking, but we got upgraded in a major way. Thanks to some of my connections and the good folks at Jack Daniels and the partnership committee out at the stadium, we got upgraded to a suite. And not just any suite, but the owner's suite, a double box suite on the 50-yard line with a bar. And it was catered. And the seats were super comfy. And we're inside, but we could open the windows so we could see right out and hear everything that the band was doing. And because there was a torrential downpour and a lightning strike, which delayed the start of the show by about 40 minutes, we were comfortable as we could be, and we were surrounded by amazing people. The great folks who worked there at the stadium, the bartenders who were cool and fun, the team who put the whole day together, the partnerships team who kind of entertained us all, the other folks in the suite who were there to enjoy the show. It was a really, really fun night, and we're going to tell you all about it here on episode 233. But first, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. As always, we like to mention we're proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a family of over 100 different shows, including the Metallica Report, hosted by Stefan Shirazi and Renee Richardson. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at Pantheon Pods. And we have to give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who, yes, they are based in the UK, folks, but they procure records from all over the world and they ship all over the world. So if you're looking for a rare Metallica print, first edition, foreign print, picture disc, rare single, old tour book, whatever it might be, go to rarevinyl.com. Find some stuff that you love, and then you can use code UGLY, UGLY, at checkout to save 10% off one entire order. Not just one item, but one entire order. So you want to give your record collection boost? Go find all the stuff that you always wish you had. Go find those first editions that are hard to get. Go find those rare imports that you can't find everywhere. Use the code UGLY and save a big, fat 10%. Your record collection will thank you. And trust me, they do have a lot of great Metallica stuff at rarevinyl.com. And we also have to give another thanks to our friend and longtime listener, Dex, who welcomed us into his house. Kind of jokingly asked him, hey, do you have a place for us to crash? And it turns out he did. He had a basement with a couple of beds in there, and we could come in and come out without disturbing his family. And that saved us in downtown Nashville over the 3 nights of a weekend. It saved us many hundreds, over $1,000. And his family couldn't have been more gracious or sweet. His wife was so much fun and cute, good to us. So we just really appreciate it and just want to remind you to be good to your podcast hosts. And maybe, just maybe, if you have an event for them, they might be able to crash with you in your town. Now back to the show. I'll admit that I wasn't psyched about seeing Ice Nine Kills or Limp Bizkit. I thought the opening acts the first night were better. But other than that, every piece of the experience on Saturday night was so much better. We had so much fun. And I think that's going to come out during the show here today. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're talking me and Jackson in Nashville. Saturday, May 3rd for the second night of Metallica on the M72 tour from the owner's suite here on The Wolf. let's roll. Let's talk about night 2 at Metallica in Nashville, because both set wise and location of our seats wise,
experience wise,
and the total experience wise, it was completely different, but there was a lot going on. There's a lot to kind of chronicle here. So, I guess we should say a little bit, because Metallica is doing these takeover events in every city they go to. It was our intention to do some of that. And we had tickets for the Metallica Save My Life movie. But when we found out it was like way on the north side of the town, and we're on the way south side of town, the fact that it was just raining hard. And Thursday, I guess I'm an old man, but it kind of kicked my ass a little bit. I mean, driving for 4 hours to get down and pick you up and get to where we were going, to get to super listener Dex's house, and then to drive through the nasty traffic all the way back, get positioned, kind of make it through the beginning, hear the opening acts, and then endure that kind of lull bit when they're doing all the new songs and the doodle and everything. And then the lovely people who found out that the seats in front of us were not filled that night, and they brought all their friends down and were screaming like idiots. I was pretty beat after Thursday. So Friday was a welcome. You know what? We don't have to go try to do everything. Let's just chill a little bit after we recorded the episode. And
there was definitely some nap time there on Friday. I did a couple of emails once we figured out that it was rainy. Didn't really feel like going to downtown Nashville in the rain, which was probably a better idea. Yeah, I did a couple of emails, and then I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe it was a long day on Thursday. Maybe I will shut my eyes for bonk and just out for
a couple hours.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do too. And then for whatever reason, I just couldn't fall asleep. I was super tired, but I'm like, I'm just going to lay here and hope I fall asleep. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. Oh, well. But then on Saturday night, we decided, okay, we're going to go down early again. Traffic's not nearly as nasty. This time we have a parking pass, which is right next to the stadium, basically, which is nice, courtesy of the good people at Jack Daniels, basically.
That was nice because there was we had been there 2 days prior, so you knew exactly where the lot was.
Yeah.
You had a spot reserved. That was so nice. You just pull right in. They scan your little QR code or ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
Pull in, and we were ready to go.
We were ready to go. And we went off over to the city, went over the big bridge in Nashville to go get a burger before the show, which was unnecessary, as it turns out, because, and we'll get to that.
Right.
We get back, the doors are open, and you got the Thursday night poster. So, of course, you were determined to get the Saturday night poster. Only problem was, so were hundreds of people who got shut out of the Thursday night poster.
I figured, I got there. The line was it was a little bit longer because we were maybe 15 minutes later getting to the stadium. But I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. And then all of a sudden the word comes in, it kind of filters back down to the line. There's no more posters left. Okay, well, this was the first stand when you walked in. So I knew there was a couple more. Went to the second one, nothing. Third one, yeah, they're still here. Okay, we get, moving up. That line was very long.
Very long.
Moving up. Still see people with they were nice enough to give the cardboard tubes with the poster, so that was nice.
Right.
Walking away, and finally this guy just came out and he was like, yeah, if you're in line for a poster, we are sold out.
Meanwhile, I went upstairs to kind of scope where our seats were. They were doing a merch table those days. So I'm like, all right, I'll walk over there and check it out. I figure I'll grab it for you if they've got it. Hey, man, you got any posters? No, we sold out our lot in 8 minutes. Okay. Can I have one of those big t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts? Because I just found out that my wolf shirt had a big hole in the armpit, and I don't want to walk into a nice place with my, my pits hanging out. So I go ahead and get that. Come back to find you. You'd struck out at even the fourth.
Yeah,
place,
there was nothing. And I didn't realize till I got back. And I'm in the process of flattening the poster out from the first night. They're not signed, but there's a number on there. Like there were only 900, and I got like 267 of 900.
Wow.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But they grossly miscalculated that. They could have printed twice as many and still sold them out.
It probably could have sold, 10 times as many, really.
Right. Yeah. And what I don't understand too is okay, so it's date specific. They have one for one
Hmm.
show. Okay. Well, you don't want to go too overboard. But I still think if you printed off more than you were going to sell, you could have put them on the website and sold out the rest of them. Like you weren't going to have an extra inventory of these deals.
Well, did you go to that website I sent you
Yes.
to get
Yeah.
number two?
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't numbered, but it's at least the right thing that'll pair with the
Correct.
other.
Right. But there was nothing on the Metallica website.
No, no, I guess they
And
don't need it.
well, apparently, and then there was another poster that was just for the pop-up deal, which
Right.
had which was it looked okay. I don't know if I would have gotten it, but it was the cool part was it had the Tennessee Titans,
Like sword and logo thing.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
3 stars. So that was kind of cool. But apparently they had even less of those things.
Wow. All right. So that was a little bit of disappointment, but I'm like, okay, look, I got something that's going to make you feel better, dude. Let me show you
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
our seats are.
Right. Because we had already known that we had gotten a major upgrade from a regular seat to a suite or a box or whatever you want to call it. But we didn't really know what that was really all
Well,
about.
exactly right. And we've been in suites before for various reasons, for work or whatever. And
Hmm.
so we're like, okay, well, that's good. After the show on Thursday night, it basically rained the entire time that we were there. I mean, it rained
Right.
for the most part all day Friday and not all day Saturday, but that evening, once we were there and got settled, it did rain pretty good for a while there. But we go up to scope it out and we keep walking towards like the middle of the field, and we pass by the suite. Oh, this is 3E, this is 4E, this is 5E. They're all kind of right next to each other. Then we get to where we're supposed to be, 12E, and they have these huge double doors with the Tennessee Titans logo. And I'm like, this is a huge suite. What's up with this? Turns out it was the owner's suite, Amy Adams, who runs the team now and inherited from her father, Bud Adams. That's where she sits for the games. And it was a double suite.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was enormous.
one big suite, on both sides. And we got in there and it was so nice. And the people were so amazing to us. And I got to give shout outs to Katie, who welcomed us in the door when we came in there, showed us, oh, look, here's all the catered food on this side. Here's the open bar on this side. Here are all the goodies that they left us. They had some Tennessee Titan swag. They had some cookies that were made
Hmm.
by a local bakery that were like pick shaped or even had Metallica scrolled on them. And I grabbed one for the Wolf Cub because I knew she would want one. And they had all these Metallica themed drinks. Now, I don't really drink. Plus, I was driving in the rain at night, so I didn't think it'd be very clever of me to drink. But they did the mocktail bit of it and they were so good. I took a picture that will end up on our social media that shows the kind of the Enter Sandman and the Fade to Black. They all kind of had these Metallica themes. And then the seats were like, they had the logos on it. They're super comfy. I mean, think about the nicest seats in the nicest movie theater. And like, that's what we're dealing with here. It was like so sweet. It was kind of amazing. And 50-yard line,
Right.
basically right where we were on the opposite side, except a little higher up, yet it felt like we were more on top of it.
Yeah, and I was thinking that there would be outside seating. Like I've seen them where like you're inside, you open the door, there's seats on the outside, or you can be in the inside space. This was not that at all. The seats were inside. They opened these glass windows
Mm-hmm.
to be outside, but we were completely inside, which was nice for about 20 minutes later when actually no, after the first two
2 hours later, but
opening,
yeah.
yeah, after the first two opening bands, the skies opened up again. So I was very happy to be because it was raining a little bit,
Yeah.
whatever. And then all of a sudden it started to torrentially rain for about 5 or 6 minutes, and it was just a mess. Very excited to be inside. Although back to the bar real quick,
Mm.
you're gonna post the drink menu. They were all Metallica themed, and I overheard the ladies behind the bar saying how much fun they had coming up with clever names for these drinks that were Metallica themed. So everybody was having a good time. Everybody was into this. It was really cool. The crowd was kind of cool too in the box. We met some people who I guess were some of the people were actually from the Titans, which was
Hmm.
cool. Some of the people were associated with Jack Daniels. There were at least two guys with actually, well, three with the dude from the Titans that were bringing their son to their first concert. So
Yeah.
that was really cool because I think they were more psyched than the kids.
Well, yeah, we couple guys who had their teenage sons at their first ever concert.
Mhm.
We met that young guy Bennett, who's a photographer who had just been in Europe for a month and a half or whatever,
Right.
doing some work over there. The guest services people were unbelievably nice. Shout out to Brad and Amanda, and I didn't meet everybody else, but they were just really cool, fun people to talk to, personable. Wanted you to have a good time, and I hope that we get to see them again sometime. Not just because it'd be so cool to see another show from that vantage point in that room, but just because they were good folks, really made us feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And everybody we met who was there to just enjoy the show, they were the same way. They were nice too. Everybody I talked to was cool. And yeah, I mean, versus the riffraff that we were amongst on Thursday night, it really kind of made for a really nice night, and even better night later, which we'll go ahead and get into before too long here.
Well, the one cool thing was that I was kind of thinking that when you have a corporate event like this, there are people who get roped into it because they have to, and
Right.
it's like, ugh, is this thing almost over? Yeah, we've got to get, I got to go to work tomorrow, or I'm only doing this because I have to. It didn't seem like that at all. It seemed like everybody that was there was a fan of the band, couldn't wait to see the show, and was excited to be there. So that was really cool right off the bat because there's nothing worse than the roped in corporate people. I think that actually I don't think I know for a fact like Billy Joel does not sell his front row tickets because of that.
Mm.
You cannot buy them because he's like you get into the point where everybody's just on their phone and they're there because they have to be. So his deal is I don't sell the front row. I find that I have people go into the crowd, find the worst seats, and bring them into the front row because I
Hmm.
want fans there. And so it really felt like everybody was psyched. Even the guy from the Titans,
Hmm.
who I mean, I'm sure he goes to everything there because he was in charge. I don't remember exactly what his title was, but I mean, he was involved with the team, and we were asking him all questions about the new stadium, which he was involved with too. But even he was a huge fan with his kid
That's right.
there.
That's
So
right. And he got the
definitely a
set
fun
list
crowd. Yeah, early.
early. He was supposed to be,
Mm,
I think, 30 minutes before they went on, but we'll kind of get back into that here in a minute. What was also interesting is because we talked about this in the first show, seeing Suicidal Tendencies and Pantera was like, oh, yeah, we want to see that. We do not want to miss that.
correct.
The next night, Saturday night, was Ice Nine Kills and Limp Bizkit.
Hmm.
Now, I skipped Ice Nine Kills when I saw the band in Amsterdam. Not necessarily intentionally, it just took me a little while to get there and get settled. But I wanted to kind of intentionally skip Limp Bizkit because I'm just not a fan. I've never been a fan of the whole it's rap and rock. Like it's
Right.
bastardized versions of each. Neither of them's very good. And I was just never a real big fan of Limp Bizkit. But there were people who were psyched to see Limp Bizkit in the box. They were just like, yeah, I can't wait to see Limp Bizkit.
There was one dude who was like, not only was he psyched, like it seemed like he knew all the songs and
Yeah.
was, yeah, okay.
Hi, my name's Stefan Shirazi from the Metallica Report, and you're listening to the Ugly American Werewolf in London.
But before we get to them, we got to talk about Ice Nine Kills because I've never seen anything quite like this. The guys all come out to play in like suits. They have ties on, they have suits,
Mhm.
they have short hair, and they're playing this kind of hard, heavy music. There's one lead singer, but there's another guy who does a lot of the backup or harmony or whatever you want to call it, singing. I don't know if it's harmony,
Right.
but it's kind of yelling at a different tone is the way I would describe it. And so yeah, they kind of look clean cut, but they kind of play this heavy music fine. But then all over the stage, there's all this like it's performance art. It's not just music. And they're showing people being butchered and
Mhm.
cut up with chainsaws. It's all fake, of course. And, and a baby coming out and all this stuff with these evil dudes, one looking like Leatherface, one looking like some kind of psychotic Joker. I'm like, is this what the kids are into these days? Because there were people there, actors to play these roles along with the singer who kind of helped with it. It was to me very bizarre.
Well, what I don't get is when you listen to the music, you don't get all of the performance parts. So are you missing something when you listen to the record? I don't know. It was strange. It was kind of Alice Cooper-y.
Yeah,
There were zombies and then there was I don't even know what the other thing was.
I know.
There was a guy on like a tricycle and a clown, and then at first it started with this woman who came up on stage who was kind of dancing around like frantically. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe she sings back up. I don't know what this deal is, and then it got progressively weirder from there. Like you said, it got to the point where people were being cut up with chainsaws and
Mhm.
axes, and yeah, I don't know, and the guys were. Yeah, they were super clean cut walking in, and they had suits on, but they were like nice suits too, like
Yeah.
tailored, like not like ironic, like, oh, I'm wearing this big, Goodwill suit.
Yeah, no, they look good. I
Yeah.
mean, I was joking with some of the ladies with guest services, like I think they keep their hair short because they have to keep their day jobs because this I don't know if this is really working out. Maybe it is. I don't know. It was awfully bizarre to me. I understand that there's performance thing, but I mean, like, is Alice Cooper ish, but it was like American Horror Story
Yeah.
Alice Cooper. Just a little unsettling. And to me, me, I'm like, if you need all that stuff, it's because the music isn't that good.
Well, I couldn't tell you one song they played. They kind of all sounded the same to me. Now, it
Yeah.
was really loud, and I had never heard them before, so I couldn't pick out different songs. But I think you're right. If you have to do that, then you're masking something else.
I don't know. I mean, they say we want to do this is the way we perform. It's different than everybody else. Okay, that's cool. I get it, but maybe I'm just too old, and I'm happy that that's the case if that is the case. But then next comes Limp Bizkit.
Hmm.
And yeah, it wasn't just a few people in our suite. There were a ton of people on the field and throughout the stadium who were psyched about seeing Limp Bizkit, like
It seemed like it.
totally
Yeah.
psyched.
Right.
And they had them going too. They had the crowd pretty live and jumping.
I will tell you that I am not a fan of that music. I never was, even back when it came out in the 90s. I'm not a huge fan of Fred Durst. I think he's kind of I always kind
Clown.
of thought, yeah, kind of, yeah, like just kind of the poser dude. You leaned over to me at one point in time, like he's not singing. No, he's kind of just yelling the
Well,
stuff.
he's rapping
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah, he's
right.
rapping. He's not a singer.
But he was very good at working the crowd.
Oh, a master.
Like they would take breaks and there were okay, so there's the drummer, bass, guitar, and then they had like a DJ. So the DJ would put on like parts of other songs,
Yeah.
and then Durst would get the crowd. Oh, hey, we're here to see Metallica. Can you believe this? This is so great. Oh, how these people doing right here? Give me a hell yeah or whatever. So yeah, I mean, he took great pains to whip the crowd up. He had a little mosh pit going at one point in time. So
The mosh
yeah,
pit was right. He even tried to
yeah.
stop him. It's like, hey, no moshing at Metallica. This isn't our show. It's Metallica. You got to cut that out. But they kept doing it, kept doing it. And Wes Borland, who I affectionately call Monkey Boy for the way he used to look in the 90s with the big black eyeballs and kind of the ears that stuck out really far,
Yeah.
he had some kind of crazy helmet mask thing on where you never even saw his face.
Correct. It was like a skull helmet, but it had like a Roman mohawk
Mm,
feather thing on the top of it. Yeah, it was very bizarre. You couldn't even see his face. Like, I mean,
no,
I guess it was him, but
right.
like I couldn't swear to it
It could have
because
been anybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, of course, I don't love those songs, but I do recognize them. I'm not
Right.
singing along to them. But, it turns out that Fred grew up in part of his life in Jacksonville, Florida, and he lives in Nashville now. And his mom was there, and he was giving
Mhm.
shout outs to her throughout the evening. I think she was on one of those pylon things where they have a few chairs so she has a
Yeah.
good seat. He kept shouting out to her. He was having fun, and he was grateful. He was grateful that his band's together. He was grateful that Metallica gave him this huge stage to do it on.
Mhm.
And from what I saw, the crowd was a lot more live than they were during Pantera 2 nights before, which was surprising to me, but to each their own.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that I went home and listened to my old Limp Bizkit records because I didn't have any. I don't really want to listen to that, but as far as a show, they put on a good show.
They entertained,
Yeah.
they worked the stage,
Yeah.
they got the crowd into it. They did their job.
They yeah,
Yeah.
he understood that he is there to hype the crowd for the main event. That's what you're there for. That's what he was doing. They played a couple of other like they played a Pantera song.
They played Faith, didn't they, by George Michael?
They played well, yeah, well
Which is
that was
one of their songs at this
right, but
point. Yeah.
they played the beginning of Walk. But that was just on the record, and kind of a shout out to Pantera. He did get down into the snake pit at one point in time. Fred did, and ran into Mike Muir from Suicidal
Suicidal.
Tendencies. So
Yeah.
that was kind of cool. And I actually saw somebody shot video of that, and you could see he's genuinely kind of stunned to see him standing there. He's like, "Oh, hey man, what's up?" So that was kind of cool. So yeah, music wise, show wise, okay, I'll give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. They put it on, right?
Yeah.
But even though we had a nice evening, the rain was coming towards us.
Hmm.
And we kind of commented that they went on just a little tad late on Thursday night. They're usually going on 8:45 to 8:50, and they came on a little after 9 on Thursday. So I'm like, okay, this day they're not going to be late. They're going to come in
Right.
a little
There
earlier.
you go.
Except, and we knew, for the crowd knew, because Brad got the alert on his phone, there's lightning in the area. And he explained to us that if it's within 8 miles of the stadium, you got to clear everybody off the field. You got to clear everybody out of the stands. They got to go be underneath the concourse or squeeze into the club or whatever, because it's just too dangerous. And he starts telling us this. I'm like, oh gosh, really? And then they put up the big red warning sign. Hey, lightning in the area. And I think James was saying something over the loudspeaker. I could not make out what he was saying. But, it's about saying, hey, you need to get inside. It's not safe. We don't want anybody hurt, that kind of thing. But meanwhile, we're in the suite. In fact, it's a double-sized suite. So we had space to move around and kind of tell stories and share videos from past Metallica shows. And yeah, it was no worries for us. We just got a little more hummus or another little hamburger.
Let me see what's up on that tray.
Make me another mocktail. It's no skin off my back. Now they're going to start later, but they said, look, you have to wait 30 minutes from the last lightning strike. And then as soon as they made the announcement, it did pour for about 20 minutes. I'm like, well, that sucks for everybody who isn't in a suite right now. But it was fine for us. We had a good time talking to people and just kind of waiting it out.
Yeah, even though the windows were open, I didn't feel any rain come in there. I guess they designed it so that's the case. You can still enjoy the outdoors without being actually outdoors.
Yeah.
Most of the people left. There were a fair number of people on the who got the I guess field pass who didn't go anywhere. And I asked the dude. I said, I thought everybody was supposed to get out. And he's like, yeah, well, what are you gonna do? Obviously, it's if they're not moving, they're not gonna make them move. So the other thing was too, the two end zone displays were not being used by the band. So to see them light up, I'm like, oh, what is this? And then it's the huge red warning, get off the field now, severe weather. Uh-oh. And then, it did. They almost had the stage totally dried, and then not so much because it was really wet there.
All of a sudden now it's completely wet. Yeah. But then after a while, we get the green light. Hey, everybody can come back. Everybody's cheering. Yay. So I feel like Metallica went on at about 9:30. Does that sound right?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a little later, but not the end of the world. Yeah. 9:30 is what Setlist FM says. And, I got to say that I was not terribly disappointed necessarily with the set list, but I was not loving the running order because they had that big 40 minutes there that was a little slow. So I was hoping for new energy this time. And I felt a hell of a lot better after having just driven, 30 minutes instead of 4.5, 5 hours, whatever it was, on Thursday. And looking at the tour stats, they've done 33 of these city takeovers at this point, the last 2+ years. And there are 9 songs they have played every single time. Creeping Death, Enter Sandman, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Lux Eterna, Master Puppets, Nothing Else Matters, One, Sad But True, and Seek and Destroy. And then Orion, they've only missed once, 72 seasons. They've only missed 3 times, Fuel only 4. And it kind of goes on. They move songs in and out, right? Sometimes they do. There's a core that they do, but they did Creeping Death, Master of Puppets, Nothing Else Matters, and Seek and Destroy the night before. So we knew some good stuff was coming that we could get excited about. But the other cool part is because there was lightning in the area, they did a lot of songs from Ride. They did 5 songs from Ride the Lightning for us. No more from Master, but it was cool because like Metallica Brazil saw our update that I put up there, hey, lightning warning, everybody get in. And in real time said, hey, you better be ready to ride the lightning, brother. And they started following us. So that was fun in real time to connect with people 1,000 miles away, whatever it is, thousands of miles really, who are fans and kind of checking out what the band are up to. It was like, yeah, it was fun to have a little connection like that. But it was more fun to kind of get the show started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's start walking through this a little bit. Of course, once again, like you say, they do It's a Long Way to the Top by AC/DC, so people can start getting excited. They show pictures on the big pylons of them from over the years, over the decades. Then they do The Ecstasy of Gold, as they always have. And then basically a mistake that I made on the last show was I said that Seek and Destroy would be the only thing from Kill 'Em All. It's not true. They open with Whiplash, which they didn't do in Amsterdam. It was the only one, Seek and Destroy, from Kill 'Em All then. But Whiplash has been all but maybe 5 or 6 nights or something like that. So they've been doing it pretty regularly. And it was a hell of a good way to kick off night 2.
Yeah, I was excited because, like you said, like you were thinking that was going to be it from Kill 'Em All. I'm like, well, okay. And then for them to open with that, no, that's sick. I love that song. I'm glad that they still use stuff from the first record because it is so awesome. Even though they've got a ton of stuff now that they've got to work in.
That's right.
So yeah, that was cool. And then this set list was probably more my favorite because it's no secret that my favorite record is Ride the Lightning. So to have it stacked more on this night was definitely more to my liking.
Yeah, no, I mean, basically a third of what they played on this night was Ride the Lightning. So you got to love it. And a lot of that was planned, but they go, and again, like I said last time, they kind of have this set up in pieces. The first 4 songs are classic songs once again, and there is room to move things around. And then the next 4 are new songs plus Kirk's Doodle plus, something that they might throw in and move and change from night to night. So we do Whiplash, and then they go into For Whom the Bell Tolls with the big bells up on the thing. That never gets old, dude.
Never. And they're doing the they're putting the lightning graphics up, which I mean they probably would have done anyway, but the fact that we had the lightning delay, it just seemed cooler. It just seemed like there was lightning everywhere there that night.
Exactly. Like they're showing the skyline with lightning all over it. And I'm like, man, that's accurate and it's cool and it's fun. And then they go right into Ride the Lightning right afterwards, which is the one that's exactly what they did in Toronto, but it was still cool that they kept it. And on a night like that, it's perfect, right? It's apropos, if you will.
Correct. Yeah. And to have 2 back to back like that, I was excited about it because I don't know if that's my favorite song on the record, but it's to me, it's one of those ones that I kind of forget about, that I like it so much.
Ride the Lightning, how ironic. All right. Hey, thanks for sticking with Metallica through rain or shine or anything that shows up, The Metallica family, we can take it. We can absolutely take it. And we get wet, we all get wet together, right? Did you bring your loud voices with you tonight? Well, don't keep it inside.
Fair enough. Yeah. It's I don't know that one back and forth, maybe. I mean, I know it obviously. I don't know the words by heart, I guess, but I know the song, like, oh, that's so cool. And then they do Memory Remains from Reload. So they don't completely abandon Load and Reload. They do a little bit from those, but that's your first 4.
Well, I was kind of excited on the Memory Remains that they did not use the Marianne Faithfull vocals piped in, because
she's gone.
Yeah, and I'm not a super huge fan of putting backing tracks on live records or live performances. So they kind of just played her part instrumentally. So I thought that was cool because that's not my favorite song, but I mean I knew it, and it's kind of cool that they don't forget about those records also, even though they may not be everybody's favorites.
Yeah, and they don't pump it in. That's good, but they still do the tribute to her basically.
Correct.
By playing that, and so that's the first quarter of the set, if you will. Lars is at the 1 drum kit. Then they move into the newer stuff. And of course, they go into Lux Eterna, which was the first single. And I got to tell you, it's a hell of a good song. And I was happy to see that live, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. They didn't play it night one, so you knew it was coming for night two. The first time I heard it on that listening party, I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is a really good song. It's upbeat. He's got the double drum. It sounds like an engine pumping, which I never heard Lars play before. That was a very good track from the new record. I was psyched that they were going to do that.
But you know what I may have liked better, just because I was more familiar with that song. I've seen him do it live. Too Far Gone, ? That was a really good song live. And it came right on the heels of it. I'm like, you know what? I like this. I mean, I've only listened to the album a couple of times. I don't know it, obviously, like I know Lightning or Master or something like that.
Yeah.
But I really like that song. I thought they pulled that off live really well. I'm like, all right, we're in much better shape at this point in the night than we were on Thursday night,
Yeah, I think I was in the same boat. I've heard that song a couple of times. I couldn't tell you that it really stood out to me, but to hear them do it live, I'm so far, I'm liking this more than night one as far as the new stuff.
And then, of course, we go into the Kirk and Rob Doodle.
Right.
And it should be noted that that's the song that has been played the most of the 33 nights. 51 of them have featured a Kirk and Rob Doodle because they can do it most every night. I don't know how much. I feel like they only did it once in Amsterdam. So it's like they would do it one of the two nights, and now they're doing it both nights because it just gives James and Lars a little time to catch their breath.
Right. What did they do the other night when you went in Amsterdam? Did they do a solo? What was that all about?
Well, okay, now I got to look it up. Gee whiz.
Because I kind of thought that was the standard operating procedures for them to do that.
Well, the thing is, they started in Amsterdam, so it may not have been standard operating procedure. Like, we're going to give them all we can give them. So yeah, they did not do it the first night, period. It was just 16 songs, whereas now it counts as one of the songs, the Doodle. And then, yeah, they didn't do it either night. I think it's just something that they learned, like, we need a break at some point.
Right.
We can't just do this full on out. So yeah, when I saw them, no doodles at all.
Okay.
And then eventually they said, okay, well, we need to fit one in there, give James and Lars a break, let them come up with something fun. And now they do it every night. So you don't get 30 songs anymore. 32 rather, you get 30 plus these two doodles. I didn't hang out for the Kirk and Rob Doodle. I took that as the opportunity to use the private, clean, and quiet bathroom there in the suite, which was one of the best features, no doubt about it. But apparently they got a little bit into Jolene by Dolly Parton. I didn't pick it out. Again, I wasn't listening. I knew that this was time I could go to the bathroom, maybe get another mocktail, check out the food a little bit, because Brad had showed us he had gotten the set list, of course, and we knew Fade to Black was coming. So I was just, no offense to Kirk and Rob. Yeah, I was ignoring you, waiting for one of my very, very favorite songs.
I was trying to figure out how much of what they're doing is improv, because the end of the second one, Rob said, "Oh, hey, I didn't know you were going to do that," to Kirk. So I think that it is kind of, I mean, they do rehearse it a little bit, but I think some of it is just kind of improv, and yeah, it's just the two of them having fun. Yeah. And to me, I like that because this is a huge production. It's, $1 zillion to put this on. Very intricate the way it's planned out with the set list, the
lighting,
video stuff, all that stuff. But just for the two of them to just basically fool around for a couple of minutes, just kind of give everybody a break. It's got to be tough for Lars. He's got the most physical job there. He's in his 60s. He's kind of a now curmudgeonly old man. Mm-hmm. He needs a break. It's got to be tough to sing all those songs. So James gets a break. And I don't remember when we saw them originally, was there a solo? I mean, no offense to Kirk, but I don't think I want to see you out there just noodling by yourself for 10 minutes.
Oh, you mean back in 1993?
Yeah, I don't remember a solo then.
I don't, but they played for more than 3 hours, so it wouldn't shock me if that's the case.
Right, but just to see the two of them have fun is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I do find it a little strange that James says it's time for band introductions, but he only introduces the two of them and then walks off.
Yeah.
What's next? Oh, all right, there. You need a pick, don't you? You need a pick? Well, I have more. I'm good. All right. Hey, we're going to take a few seconds and make sure you know who the hell is up here on stage. We've been a band for like 120 years now. You should know our names by now. I'm getting better at it. Please say hello on bass guitar to my brother, Mr. Robert Trujillo. Robert, Nashville, Robert. And my other brother, Mr. Kirk, the Ripper Hammett, our lead guitar, and also rhythm guitar. They're gonna have fun with you, if you want. It's up to you guys. You don't have to have fun. We're gonna have some fun. I highly suggest it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point in time, you know who Lars is.
You know who all of them are,
Yeah.
man. It's really just an excuse to give those two a little time to shine and all that. But you go to Fade to Black, and now James has one of those acoustics that's like set, right? That he still has the...
It's on a stand, yeah.
Yeah, it's on a stand, so he kind of walks up to it and plays it. And then when he goes... I was he, but now he can go back to his electric guitar.
You take a step back and you've got the electric right there. Yeah.
So, look, I've always loved this song. You really introduced me to it in college. And obviously, it's about trying to stay away from suicide, yet chasing and falling straight forward to it. It's pretty heavy. And they had like stone or marble, even like faces on the screen, like these are the faces of those who suffer kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what was amazing to me was they're doing the song, and then when it's time to go to the part where it speeds up and it sounds like his life is slipping away from him, they stop. They stop the music.
Stop. Yeah.
Stop the show. And James walks over to a microphone, says, look, if you've got someone, if you know someone who's struggling and thinking about suicide, or it's okay to talk to someone. Life will get better. You just have to wait. And, like we said on the last show, they have these kind of public service announcements almost with Rob and James talking about, hey, suicide affects us all. It can affect you if it coming out of the military, old and young, men and women, blah, blah, blah. So they really are doing their part to help those who have struggled, because you know that James has struggled over the years. I would say all of them have, but James is the lyricist. And you know by what he writes about, this is something that's gone on with him, and he's come through the never, if you will, to feel better, to be in a good place, and he wants others to do the same before they get into
If you know someone who is not enjoying life as much as they could, please sit and talk with them, because it does get better. You just need to wait. Suicide is not the answer, all right? I'm serious. We need you.
And especially the people that are there and the people that listen to this kind of music. You're a tough guy. I like metal. I'm hardcore all the way. That is a tough thing to talk about, a tough thing to think about. So the fact that he stops the show to acknowledge that and to tell you that there are people that you can talk to, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something to hide. I thought that was pretty cool. But then, to have that break and then go into the real hard part of the song, that was kind of cool too.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
It just shows the character of these men. You want to write off heavy metal people as idiots or just party freaks. And hey, maybe 40 years ago they were, but they know they have a responsibility now. They give back to their community. They do things for other people. And I thought that was a very cool way to try to reach out to those who were struggling. I gave them a standing ovation after it. I mean, they played it amazingly well. But the fact of the matter is, that's a good thing to do for society, for your fans, a lot of whom have hard lives and have been through some stuff. Give them some hope. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
They have my respect.
Hi, my name is Renee Richardson from the Metallica Report, and you're listening to The Ugly American Werewolf in London. Did I get that right?
But then that moves into the fact that, hey, we got to do more songs from the Black Album, man. And they jump right into Wherever I May Roam.
Now, wait a minute. Did they?
Yeah.
But was there a little break there? And I think there was a little break, and they kept playing the beginning part, that boom, and then they had the some clicking, it was like kind of the beginning part of the song. They played a couple of times, and then they went into it. So it was kind of like that teaser, and then the stage goes black. I don't know whether they were moving stuff around or taking a quick break.
Lars may have been going to the next drum kit.
Yeah, but so you knew what it was, and so it was kind of hyping the crowd up, and then to go into that. That's another one of those songs too, where I'm like, I remember it because I've listened to the Black Album
Billion
a
times,
thousand times,
Mhm.
and so, but you hear that song like, yeah, no, I like this one too. This is a great track off that record.
Yeah, I know. We get respect for our first tour being the Black Album, but that's from casual fans. The real fans went to them before that, right? But
Right.
when you're in a stadium full of people, especially a suite where not everybody is a diehard Metallica fan. Yeah, I mean, it's cool that we saw them then, but yeah, I mean, we couldn't escape that song for 2 years basically when we were in college. So just like the rest of them. Then they go to the Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
And James had that killer Kraken Explorer like guitar.
Yeah.
I took like 15 pictures trying to get the right shot of that thing just because I thought it was so cool.
Right. Now they played Orion night one, so I was pretty much guaranteed in my mind that it was going to be this one on the second night. I like this song better. No offense to Orion.
Yeah, I mean it's close to me. I'm with you. Call of Cthulhu, and it's in the same spot. It's the 10 spot, right?
Yeah.
So this is planned out to give James's voice a bit of a break, and because we got to build up and get ready for the end here. And just like after Orion, they dedicated that one to Cliff Burton, and we love you and we miss you. And the next one was The Unforgiven, which is obviously a huge one, and they're showing clips of the video from it during the thing. But just like the night before, at the end of the 11th song, which just happened to be from the Black Album, they did a call out to the Make-A-Wish kid that they had for that night.
Yeah.
And it was Noah the first time. It was Ryan on this night. And I was assuming he had cancer or something like it, because James like, you're a fighter and we love that you came out to see us and you want to be with us. So again, giving back, making a difference. Not every band does this.
Yeah, and acknowledging it too. I'm sure there are a lot of people that, they have Make-A-Wish.
They do it, sure,
cool. But to take time out, and I think there was one, and I don't remember what night it was of the tour, but you see them when they come in, the person is right there, and they all stand and they high five this dude and go out of their way to acknowledge him and thank him for being there, and then they go do it during the show also, on the PA. So yeah, it is cool and gives you a couple seconds to think about how much things in your life could be a lot worse.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah.
So I applaud them.
Yeah.
Again, they are good people. They're much different than the alcoholic assholes they were in the 80s who had to haze the shit out of Newsted.
Correct.
To the point that he eventually left the band.
Right.
To be honest with you, I'm glad Rob's in the band, but they may have handled things differently if they had been a little bit more mature.
Yeah. And could have been able to process the death of their friend. Yes. And not take it out on somebody else.
Exactly. And then the last bit of the third quadrant was Inamorata from the new album. Again, it's one that I like. I thought that the songs they did from the new album on the second night were more in line with what I like than what they did the first night.
Okay, but had that been, so what was this, track 12? Had this been track 7
or 8?
Yeah.
Again, it would have been a bit of a lull.
Yes, you probably would have thought, because this is a long one. This is a long song.
He even said that, like, this is a long one. Yeah, we're gonna do it. And I've heard the song. I'm not super familiar with it. I don't know it back and forth, but it was good. But it's a little bit of an epic.
Yeah, it was good that they moved it way down and spliced it in with some tracks that you already knew. I knew once he said that, I'm like, we're gonna be here for a while. It was pretty good, but I think had they lumped it in or had they tracked it with the rest of the new songs, we would have thought about it differently. Like, oh, and another one. Come on, let's go.
Exactly, just like
Yeah.
we did from Thursday.
Correct.
Yeah.
Here comes a song from 72 Seasons, and I'm not sure. Oh, yeah? Are you crying already? Yeah, it's okay. You may cry. Thank you, buddy. That's really cool. I know, it's a really long song, but we're going to do it anyway.
All right, so then Lars moves to the last drum kit spot, and they start with more Ride the Lightning, Fight Fire with Fire.
Yes.
Cool, man.
Right.
Fun,
Yeah.
kick ass, coming at you. And then 14th song, just like Fuel the night before, Moth into Flame uses the pyro on the stage and those cool effects on the screens that make them look like their silhouettes and features are on fire.
Yeah. And even though I'd seen that the first night, it was still cool the second night. Like, you kind of knew what you were going to do. I knew where the pyro was now.
Right.
So when it went off the first time, it was still no less impressive.
No, it was awesome. And it was the only song they played off Hardwired to Self-Destruct, which is interesting. It's a double album that they released this century. And they still only get the one off of there. I have to admit that I bought the deluxe version of Hardwired, and the third disc had like B-sides and then a lot of live stuff, and the live stuff was actually really, really cool. So I ended up listening to the third disc a lot more than the first two. I'm not super familiar with the songs from that. That's just who I am and the way I work.
And we've talked about this before. It's tough when you've got a band who you are a super fan of and they put out new music and you're like, oh, but I kind of want to listen to the old stuff. I really like Ride the Lightning. I really like Injustice for All. And so it's tough. You kind of almost have to make yourself do that because it's too easy to go back to the catalog stuff. And especially, like you said, they've got a live disc. Yep. Well, maybe I'll just listen to that.
And it's really good. I encourage people to go check it out and I think maybe one of the best songs was a B-side that they actually played on the radio. So it's like, not only do I have all these classics, but I also have new stuff that's really cool on there too. So that's just me. And then we knew what they were going to end with. One, and Enter Sandman. And it was at this point that we started saying our goodbyes, thanking everybody. It's like, you know what, we got to beat traffic out of here. We don't want to get stuck in traffic here and be here till 2 a.m. And even Katie, who's real sweet, she's like, are you sure they're going to play Enter Sandman last? I'm like, I know, honey, but I've seen it and I'm not getting stuck here. And you've been amazing. Your whole team is awesome. Thank you kindly. Thank you so much. And we started making our way out. But again, it's not like we can't hear what's going on as we walk out.
Right.
You know, they're playing one and we're listening to it. We're saying goodbye to the security guards. It's crystal clear. And even by the time we get to the car, we can hear Sandman going. I'm like, yep, we're doing the right thing by getting the hell out of here.
Well, you know, you say that and you think, well, you know, maybe we could have stayed till the end. But then you get in the car, there's one line of traffic going one direction. They've got everything shut down. Yeah, had we waited, we may even still have been there right now.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is because it was later, right? It started half an hour later. So even the diehards were like, oh, yeah, I'll be there to end. Some of them were like, okay, we got to start moving out because it's late. We got to drive back to wherever.
Yeah.
So it was a lot nastier, thicker traffic trying to get out of there on Saturday night than it was on Thursday night. So no, I don't have any regrets about that at all. And I've seen them do Sandman live, so I wasn't missing anything. And then we got back, and then I felt awesome. Like on Thursday night, I was done. I was exhausted. I'm like, I'm just getting in the shower and laying down. But then Saturday night, I'm like, oh yeah, you want to stay up and watch a show? You want to see what the reviews coming in are? You want to I was like up and at 'em and ready to go. So I don't know. Look, overall, I'd seen it before, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I want to know about your impressions of the whole thing over the 3 days we were there.
I mean, I thought it was really cool. I was a little disappointed in the movie because once you were telling me where it was, I got pretty disenfranchised quick about it going all the way across the other side of town, traffic and everything else. I was a little bummed on Friday that we didn't get to go downtown because it was raining, but again, that wouldn't have been any fun. The problem with that suite is that kind of ruined me for a little while now because that was really, really nice. And just a over the top experience. And I'm trying to paint the first night in more of a not a positive light, but it was just the second night was just better. And I knew what to expect. The set list was better. The surroundings were better.
Yep.
I mean, the only takeaway was that I like the opening bands on the first night better.
Better, and the weather was better.
The weather was
first night,
better. That's
too.
correct.
But for us, the weather was the same. Baby.
Yeah.
It was a little cooler on Saturday night, though. I mean, I not only did I need that, long sleeve T-shirt to cover up the hole in my wolf shirt, but it was also a little chilly, and I was wearing shorts. You were wearing pants and a jacket, but I was wearing shorts, so I kind of needed that to kind of
get there were a couple of times where the wind changed and it kind of blew right in. I'm like, ooh, it is a little cold out there today.
Yeah.
Oh, do they have any Tennessee Titans blankets that you can give me, or heater for my feet? It was over the top, and it was just the set list was more to my liking on the second night.
Absolutely.
They were both incredible. I'm glad we went both nights, because I think if you only go the one night, you're kind of cheating yourself a little bit, because you're missing out on the whole experience.
That's right. Yeah. You don't see them all. You don't see everything that you want to see.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I thought they sounded great both nights. There wasn't any kind of lull. I know you said when you went to the first night in Amsterdam, there were some problems with Kirk's
guitar
setup.
was off. Yeah.
Right.
No doubt about it. I couldn't hear it.
But I think at this point in time, they've got everything dialed in. What were they saying? They started setting that stuff up on Monday for a Thursday show, or even on the.
Oh no, it was. I think it was on the weekend. I think they started on
my
Saturday or something like that. Then they must have 2 full sets, because they're doing a show in Blacksburg this weekend. So yeah, they have to have 2. But that's what the Stones do. You have 2 full ones, and then you can break that one down and move it, skip it on to the next city. Yeah, and they mint money. I was looking at the tour stats. They basically make about $10 million per weekend.
Oh
when
my
they do
goodness.
these things. They have made more than $300 million doing these 33 cities that they've done this in so far. And plus maybe a couple festivals here and there, but they make a ton of money doing this, and they have a lot of fun. And just from choosing the opening acts to choosing their set list to choosing what Rob and Kirk are going to do, they're having fun, and it is ambitious to do 4 hours, no repeats. They definitely have the catalog for it, but a lot of bands have the catalog for it and they don't do it. So
yeah, and it is, you were talking about the big 4 when we were sitting there, and about how somebody from Anthrax was like, oh yeah, we'd love to do it again, but those guys, they live in a different world, because over that weekend was the Kentucky Derby. And one of the horses racing there was named Sandman. And there were clips of Hetfield at Churchill Downs. So visiting, with the trainer and the personnel and the horse. So obviously, I would imagine he would have gotten on his private plane, flown to Louisville, spent some time there. So it's just a whole different experience. Like this tour is. It's not really a tour, because you're flying in and out, you're going home. The fact that it's 2.5 years or whatever it is since you've seen them in Amsterdam, this thing is kind of its own deal. And I wonder if after the people get to process this for a while, will this become the norm for bands like this, like the Rolling Stones? They kind of did that a little bit on the Hackney Diamonds. It was one and done in these giant stadiums, but they're not playing every night.
Right. Yeah. And any regrets? We didn't go to any of the pop-up stuff. It would have been amazing to get tickets to see Kirk at the Ford Theater talking about his guitars. That's the only one I really wanted. Do I need to buy more Metallica stuff? Probably not. It would have been fine to see the movie. Yeah, but that we've got to go more than an hour in the rain to a rough part of town. I don't think so. But obviously seeing the show live is what it's all about.
But too, you're talking about minting money also. They've got even if you didn't go to the show, there's a giant tractor trailer parked in front of the stadium with plenty of merchandise. And when we walked out, there's a lot of empty spots there.
Yeah, they sold out tens of thousands of T-shirts that weekend, all at least $50 a pop. I mean, that's it's millions of dollars. I mean, over the course of the tour, it's many, many millions of dollars. So yeah, they're doing great, but they are giving back, and I think that hopefully that's a trend we're going to probably see more of, especially for the really, really big bands. If you make that much money, you need a tax break. So go give some of it away. Do some charity work. Prop some people up who need it. That kind of is one of the big takeaways from is that Metallica aren't just like, give me all the money. They like want to spread it around. They want to help others who have supported them, who need the help.
Right. Yeah, correct. You got to figure too that somebody like James Hetfield, like if he had not found his way to music and superstardom, what would he be doing with his life? I mean, he works on cars. That's probably what he would have done with his life. He would have been a blue collar, something like that. So the fact that they kind of target that with their programs, to get people into trade schools, to get them trained to do jobs here in the United States is pretty cool. Even give them money to get to job interviews and to finish some kind of schooling is pretty cool, because you can see that translate in front of your eyes. It's not somewhere far away where you're just kind of throwing money at a problem.
Well, yeah, it's you're giving people a trade. It's like, it's Jesus. I could just give you $100 and say,
right,
here, go pay for something. But instead, you're teaching a man to fish, and it's pretty strong, I think. From Nashville, they've got a one-off in Blacksburg, and then they're going to Columbus and Philadelphia for the whole thing. They have one-offs in Landover, Charlotte, Atlanta. They go to Tampa for 2 nights, Houston a one-off, Santa Clara 2 nights where the 49ers play, Denver 2 nights, and then they go do a tour basically in Australia, New Zealand, Bahrain, and the UAE, and those are all one-offs. They're not doing the full 2 nights, and they're doing Evanescence with Suicidal Tendencies to open. But so far, the number of tickets sold is about 3 million as far as the attendance over the whole thing, and they still have more to go. So I suggest you catch it, especially if you can catch both nights, because no one else really does it. You'll see all the songs you love. It's incredibly entertaining. And if you can get into the owner's suite on the 50-yard line, I definitely highly recommend you do. Wow, what a night Saturday night, May 3rd was in Nashville at Nissan Stadium. Lot going on. Weather delays, interesting opening acts, hanging in the suite with some good folks, good food, good drinks, good atmosphere, good vibes. It was one of the most fun nights at a concert that I've ever had in my life. And while night 1 was great in its own way, this night was just super special, a killer night in the life of the Wolf and Action Jackson, and we're glad that you're able to share it with us, to hear a little bit about it. I don't know how much longer Metallica will do this tour. Maybe they'll do this the rest of their career. Maybe they'll start taking some time off and start doing more one-offs. They are doing some one-off shows this year. I don't think it's all just festivals, and they are going down under for one-off shows later this year. But we had a blast. It was great for me and Jackson to be together again at a Metallica concert. It was wonderful that our longtime listener Dex and his family put us up for those 3 days, let us kind of crash at their place, come and go as we like. We tried not to bother them much. They're just really good folks, and we appreciate them greatly. And it's just a lesson to all you podcast listeners out there. If you can make a connection with your hosts, you have a good event in your town where they can come visit you, you might just get to host them. I don't know if that's what you really want, but it is a possibility, and it worked out great for me and Jackson. We thank Dex and his family from the bottom of our hearts. And we thank Metallica for continuing to do this, to continue to kick ass, to be awesome, to give back, to work hard, to deliver on a show in a huge way. And yes, they make a ton of money from it, but they also try to help those who have helped make them special as a band and have good lives. And I think they really delivered. Saturday night was so much fun. And while I say I'm not going to go see this tour again, because now I saw the first 2 nights in Amsterdam. I just saw a killer couple nights in Nashville. I'm kind of curious to what they might do next, but I doubt it's the last time I see Metallica, because I don't see them quitting anytime soon. And as creative as this was, they might come up with something even more creative next time. Who knows? But hopefully Jackson and I will be here to tell you all about it. And we want to know, folks, did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss the point? Did we leave out your favorite part? You email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. Let us know the bands, the albums, the tours, the concerts, the DVDs, the rock properties you want to hear us talk about here on the show. Thanks as always to Pantheon Podcast for making us part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, who has a lot of cool Metallica stuff. Use the code UGLY. You can save 10% off one entire order. Phew, that was a lot of fun. I think next week we're going to go back to reviewing some classic albums, but we have another sojourn to see another heavy metal band that we love, and we're again going to go see them for 2 nights. It's coming up soon in June. We can't wait to share it with you. It's going to be a lot of fun, so you're going to have to stay tuned. And to all you rockers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.